putting on a show all weekend long, putting your bodies on the line. And we are very grateful for it because we are entertained by some awesome exercises all weekend long.
Heat 2 of 4 on the floor for the first time for the final day. This is event number 12. What you have affectionately dubbed as 3-2-1 go.
3-2-1 go.
As the time is set by Bartek Lipka at 10:41. We've seen on the women's side that if you could handle the overhead squats, then you could handle this event pretty well. On the men's side, we talked to when everyone can do overhead squats well, now it becomes a running and toes to bar event.
Yeah, it's I think the emphasis has been changed from the women's end to the men's end. In this particular event, though, someone that's been really surprising me across the board has been Anthony Vasquez. We never really seem to call him into play, and then he always ends up just kind of popping into the top 3 of that heat every single time. Being that this is more of a classic fitness type event, it's not a single modality. We have an endurance piece, a gymnastic piece, and a lifting piece. Like Bartek was saying, he wanted to see some quote-unquote CrossFit event. This is definitely that, so I want to see if Anthony Vasquez is going to be able to hop up at the front of the board on this event.
And I think I want to touch on maybe two opposite sides of the spectrums when an athletes are concerned. Vasquez is that mid-pack, all-around fitness athlete. Let's look on one side. In lane 1, you have Giannis Papadopoulos, who, just being a bigger dude, if he can stay comfortable on the run, he's going to have a decent row pace, because if you're bigger and heavier weight, you actually push that track a little bit quicker. Toes to bar, he'll have to manage it. We know the barbell's not going to be an issue for him. On the flip side of that coin, you have Cody Anderson. Smaller athlete, very well conditioned, freaks when it comes to gymnastics, but also a freak when it comes to positioning and body positioning for something specific to an overhead squat. So I think those are your 3 type of athletes, and we have 3 different type of race strategies that can go on in this event.
I will agree with all of those points. However, when we do talk about Papadopoulos, he's freakishly strong overhead. We saw that with the jerk. We saw that with the snatch. However, the snatch was a power snatch, and he says he can power snatch more than he can squat snatch. So this weight won't be heavy, but what I'm anxious to see is what is his shoulder positioning going to be in a full squat position. I've seen very, very strong athletes that can put a lot of weight up overhead, but the second you make them squat to depth, all of a sudden that shoulder flexibility isn't there, and those weights start to drop. So I want to see if that's going to be an issue. We haven't really seen that with him yet up to this point.
And not to be left out, Street Horner is already off the assault runner and to the pull-up rig. So Street Horner first off the assault runner, followed by Casper Gamelmark, as the rest of the field slowly making their way across the competition floor. And what we're anxious to see is, do you break it up early, save your shoulders, save your core to set up yourself well for those 10 overhead squats at 90 kilos?
Yeah, the person I'm looking, I think all these guys for the most part are going to really try to go unbroken on the first set. I just think that that's what most fitness athletes do, generally speaking, in round number 1. But it's interesting to see that Cody Anderson came down. Cody Anderson, across the board here of this field that's out here, is by far your better gymnastic athlete. So if he's coming down early, take some note, people. That may be something you might want to do.
If I'm doing 20 toes bar against Cody Anderson, he drops, I'm dropping too, because he knows a little bit more than I do.
He knows more than I do. And again, you got to pick your strategies correctly. The strategy that works for one person may not work for someone else, but in a gymnastic movement, and if he's breaking up, you better break it up.
Someone who looks fantastic right now on the bottom side of your screen is Street Horner, who went unbroken on the toes bar, unbroken on the overhead squats, and he is the first athlete to finish the first round in less than 3 minutes.
Wow, that was pushing that tempo. Wow.
Horner onto the assault runner, followed by Casper Gamelmark and Giannis Papadopoulos, currently your 3rd athlete onto the assault runner. And Bill, like you said, is that You were curious to see how Papadopoulos...
I was just curious.
But you were correct. His overhead position was not the most comfortable. In fact, exactly the opposite of Street Horner. Street Horner able to get very narrow.
Oh, yeah.
That beautiful overhead position. Papadopoulos collar to collar. Now he has the strength to hold it, but that will wear on you over the course of 3 rounds.
Now, here's the thing. You're right. It will wear on the average human. We know that he's freakishly strong. 190 pounds or 190 kilos that he put up over his head yesterday. And again, he's a tall athlete, a very big athlete, so he can go collar to collar with those long arms. The thing is for him is that the number of reps weren't enough to really slow him down. Seeing him third back to the run, that's really good for him.
Just past the 4-minute mark, all athletes onto their second 30 cals on the assault runner. First to this was Street Horner, followed by Casper Gamelmark. Casper is in the gray, and just to his left, Giannis Papadopoulos. Were your top 3 coming into round 2. Hand in the air in the back far part of your screen is up for Street Horner in lane number 9.
History here at the DXB 2017.
Street Horner on the right side of your screen. Craig Kenny to his left. Cody Anderson on the far left side as we are coming up to the 5-minute mark, and Street Horner is off first again. And still maintaining a very comfortable pace throughout this. Now, we've seen athletes labor between the two, but Street Horner is looking very comfortable.
You know, one of the things that a lot of fitness athletes have to remember is when you transition from one movement or one piece to the next piece, that is rest time. So ideally speaking, you should use your rest time so that right when you get to the next implement, you can immediately go to work. Doesn't make any sense to run back to the rig and then stand there and look at the bar. So the way Street Horner did that, he walked himself back to the rig, and then right when he was under the rig, went right to his toes bar. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like.
Street Horner on the right side of the rig went unbroken in round number 1. Will go unbroken again in round number 2 as Craig Kenny and Cody Anderson to his left are trying to keep pace. Cody Anderson will take a break. Street Horner sets up for his 10 overhead squats at 90 kilos, just under 200 pounds. Again with that narrow grip from the front rack to overhead, and Street Horner is continuing to push the pace in this second heat. Street Horner, 5 reps of the 10 completed as Casper Gamelmark is on a pull-up bar. Cody Anderson, just to his left, has the bar overhead himself, so Street Horner continuing the lead. Gamelmark in the center part of your screen in gray holding on to second, but in the back middle part of the floor, Cody Anderson is pushing for that 3rd place position.
Street Horner begins the 3rd round with Casper Gamelmark.
At 6:30, Street Horner gets into his 3rd and final round. It took him less than 3 minutes in round 1, just right at 3:30 in round 2.
That's a big increase in time, but you also look across the board, everyone else is having that same issue because he's still in front and really pulling away from the rest of the group, other than with Casper that's right next to him. But that's a really good time frame that we saw the 3.5. He wants this next round to be no worse than 3.5.
5 athletes on the assault runners as 4 are still working through their overhead squats. In order, Street Horner, 1st place. Casper Gamelmark in the gray, 2nd. Cody Anderson, 3rd. Anthony Vasquez to the right of Gamelmark in red, 4th place. And Giannis Papadopoulos still hanging in the top 5 in the left side of your screen in 5th.
You know, I was watching Papadopoulos on those overhead squats. You're right. He was very wide with his hands. Head was a little bit forward, so you could tell he was having to work it. You could see his arms were turning in, but again, the weight's just not heavy enough for a man of his stature and his strength, and the reps weren't high enough to where it was going to put him in any sort of deficit. So that's why he's able to hang into that position, being such a big athlete with these three pieces.
Approaching the 8-minute mark, the time to beat was set in heat number 1 by Bartek Lipka at a time of 10:41. And if Street Horner can maintain his pace, we might see a sub-10 effort from Street Horner. He was about 6:30 getting on to his second round. If he can maintain another 3:30 as he did in round number 2, we can see our first sub-10 of the day.
Hands up for Street Horner. 3 to go for Street Horner.
Horner on the right side of your screen. One more cal to go. Craig Kenny, Cody Anderson just to his left. Hand up in the air on lane number 2 for Casper Gamelmark. And Horner is done and right past the 8:30 mark. He went unbroken on his first 2 rounds of toes to bar. Let's see what he does in this third and final round.
But again, wasting no time. Walks over, chalks up, gets right to the rig and starts moving. Using that transition time as rest is exactly what he should be doing, and that's working great for him.
Street Horner on the right of the rig. Cody Anderson just to his left in red and black as well. And Casper Gamelmark still pushing for that third place spot, going back and forth with Cody Anderson. Horner will break for the first time. Cody Anderson has broke every round up into this point, and he might have been saving a little bit for the end because Cody Anderson has 4 reps to go, and Cody Anderson is making a move.
Street Horner, ladies and gentlemen, 10 more reps to go.
Horner on the right side of the lane, hands on the barbell first. Cody Anderson taking some time to chalk up. Street Horner still maintaining that narrow grip. 2 reps done of the 10. 3 reps done. Cody Anderson to his left, hands on the bar. Street Horner might have 5 reps on Cody before he starts, but this is still going to be a great time for both athletes.
Look at the tempo difference between these two. Cody also has that narrow grip, and he's like a piston. Oh, wow.
Cody Anderson making a charge. We saw this a lot like we had Kristen Holte and Laura Horvath, but Street Horner will hang on and finish in 10:13, but Cody Anderson right on his heels. He'll finish up right at 10:20.
So close. If he just needed a couple, if he wouldn't have chalked up, I think he could have got him on that one.
And what a finish for both athletes. Horner breaking for the first time on toes to bar. Anderson saving that unbroken set at the very end. And like we say, play to your strengths and just work out your weaknesses. There were no weaknesses across the floor for both those athletes.
No, that was a strategy game, and that was really fun to watch, and that it got that close.
Gamelmark finishes. He holds on to his third place position. Still underneath that 11-minute mark. Very close to Lipka's time of 10:40.
1 minute. Here comes Anthony Vasquez.
Vasquez will finish in 4th. Papadopoulos behind him.
Papadopoulos.
Right around that 11-12 mark.
45 seconds.
So a lot of the athletes we thought would fare well did, and Street Horner putting his hand up in the air and saying, "Don't forget about me over here."
Stefan Cossack for 1 more rep. Stefan Cossack has to cross the finish line. 30 seconds.
Stefan Cossette will be done right at 10:33. 3 athletes left on the floor. Mahmoud Shalan, Craig Kenny. Craig Kenny will be done. And as we have just 15 seconds remaining, Mahmoud Shalan and Eric Carmody are going to try to get as many reps as they can do of the overhead squats. Again, 90 kilos on the bar, just under 200 pounds. And that will do it for heat number 2. And the new time to beat lowered by 30 seconds. Street Horner, unofficial time of 10 minutes and 13 seconds.